questions or? Got it.
Aloha and welcome to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and Global Human Rights Gathering. It's taking place at the United Nations General Assembly High Level Opening Week, the UN Sustainable Development Goals Summit, and Climate Week, New York City. What we're looking at is a human rights approach and a holistic action plan at the UN 2030 Agenda Halftime, and looking at really a moral architecture of municipal and multilateral movements to leave no one behind and build back better together. What is also important at this moment in history, it's the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but it's also halftime. It's halftime for humanity to meet these 17 global goals. And these global goals are all very important because they really are essential to seeing if the world will be able to survive. And what we're looking at today is some high impact Indigenous strategic stakeholders, inclusive initiatives, and international shifts and solidarity to shape our collective world system. What we'll be looking at today, though, is the important issue of what is happening in Hawaii, and speaking with one of the most important leaders at the forefront. What the conversation that we'll have is UN SDG 13, which is climate action, Indigenous perspectives on the Lahaina wildfires. Where do we go from here? And it's an honor to have Archie Kalepa joining us today. And thank you so much for taking time to be able to speak to the world about the important issues of what happened on Maui, but more importantly, where we're going in the future.
Yes. Aloha, everyone. Good morning, first of all. And on behalf of the Lahaina community and all of the people of Hawaii, it is an honor to speak with all of you. I'm going to get right down to what's really important. The water issue that we're facing here in Lahaina, Maui, is not only an issue for Lahaina, but it is an issue for all of Hawaii in general. And more importantly, it's a global issue. I'm just going to put it into perspective about what we are dealing with here and the importance of the water issue moving forward. When you live on an island, you see and feel change before others. That may not be true, but I'm just referencing to us living on an island. And the water situation here is so important moving forward. If we cannot protect our waters, we are going to continue down a path of destruction. The earth is a living, breathing thing. It breathes, it pulses. Every river and every stream in Hawaii needs to run from the mountain to the ocean, from Mauka to Makai. I personally can speak of the changes and transformations that I have seen firsthand. In the last 130 years, there's a stream that my family has been a part of for the last 400 years. In the last 130 years, this stream was dry. Why? Because of industrialization and westernization ways. We had fought for this stream about 16 years ago. In the last 7 years, I've watched this stream nearly every day. In the beginning, the reason why I fought for this stream was selfish, was so that my family can once again farm traditional kalo, taro. But what I learned was it was not about our family's taro patch. What I truly learned, watching it every day for 7 years, I seen it go from gray, no water at all, and I seen it go gray water, and the water would disappear, come back up 100 yards down the stream, gray, hot water, disappear, come back up another 100 yards. This is the transformation that I'm talking about. Then I seen the stream go completely gray, where it was filling up, but it was warm. I would tell my kids, do not swim in that water. Then I seen the stream go from clear to warm. Then one day, the stream became clear and cold. I began to see native marine life return. Oopu, hi'iwai, all 5 varieties of oopu. There is only maybe 3 streams in Hawaii today that all 5 varieties of oopu came back, that are living there. That was such an eye-opener. That's when I began to realize it's not about me. It's not about my family's taro patch. This stream went down to the ocean, and I could not sleep, thinking I'm killing the reef. I spoke to a marine biologist, Mark Dicos, and he said, I said, Mark, I can't sleep. I'm killing the reef. This is worrying me. And he said, Archie, it is when a stream flows every single day, it creates balance. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, is when a stream is dry and does not run and there's a flood, that's when you inundate the reef with settlement. It is when a reef when a stream runs every day, that stream takes care of itself. I could not believe what I saw. The brackish water, or the fresh water hitting the ocean water, created marine life came back, because just like salmon swimming to and from the ocean, they need the brackish water, the salt and fresh water mixing so that they can spawn. We saw massive amounts of blooming of spawning fish. Unbelievable. Where an elder, Kapuna, came and said, I think there's going to be an earthquake. I'm seeing so much fish over here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. People would come up to me and say, Archie, there's opai, shrimp. It was unbelievable. The cold water created a reef, a blossoming of a reef. Today, we are faced with our reefs bleaching because of sea temperature rising. This one area where the cold water from the mountain coming to the sea created such an amazing blossoming of a reef. I cannot tell you, it was like being in college for the last 7 years. The things that I saw and learned truly opened my eyes. When I was first asked to fight for this stream, I said no, because I would lose my family in the process, because of the commitment it would take to fight these waters back in the stream. It was my wife who said, no, you need to do this. From that point on, a few of our community members and myself fought for that water. And when we won, and watching the transformation in the last 14 years, and more specifically in the last 7 years, truly changed my process, my thinking process. You cannot fight for something you don't understand. Today, I'm not afraid to stand up for our waters. It is so important. Like I said in the beginning, the earth is a living, breathing thing. Every stream that flows from the mountain to the sea is like the vein in your arm or the vein in your leg. And what happens when you pinch that vein and no more blood flows through that part of your body? It dies. That's what we're doing, people. We're killing our earth. We're killing our earth by diverting streams to keep up with westernization and industrialization. It is the people. It is the people that live here for generations that this knowledge is passed down, that understand before westernization and industrialization how important it was. The A'upua system that at one time we as a people were familiar with is almost gone. But I said almost. We have a chance. I've seen the transformations with my own eyes. I've lived to watch this transformation. If we don't, I don't want to say fight, but if we don't change the narrative, if we don't change what I'm saying is the sale plan, we will lose. Not for our generation, but for the next 5 generations that is not here today. That's how important this is globally. We have to be able to sustain our communities within its needs. And that is something that many people will have a hard time accepting. So I'm going to share something with you. I have been talking to Nainoa Thompson nearly every night about these dreams that I've been having about sailing this canoe. I've sailed with Nainoa around the world. I've captained a few legs. And right now, trying to navigate this canoe that is broken on the shores of Lahaina. This is a metaphor. In the last 150 years, we've been sailing in this storm of westernization, and industrialization. This 150-year storm we just came out of. We're on the shores of Lahaina, the shores of Maui. This canoe is broken. This canoe is broken. But we got to fix this canoe. We have to fix this canoe so this canoe can sail again. We, as native people of this land, understand for centuries what it is to sail to new land. We understand what it is to take care of the land that we found. So we have to come up with a sail plan. This sail plan is so important for this new canoe that you have to be willing to take the risk of these two things. You're not going on this canoe. You're putting your grandmother on this canoe. You're putting your 1-month-old child on this canoe. So when you write your mana'o, your little piece of creating a safe sail plan, you're doing it with those two things in mind. That will allow you to think clearly, not for yourself, but for the future. When everyone agrees to this sail plan, because everybody's important to share their mana'o to make sure that this canoe will be successful on its voyage. But the risk is great because of your 1-month-old child and your grandmother. We will begin to load this canoe with its navigators, with its captains, and its crew. But the people that we're going to load on this canoe, that's going to create change and make a difference, has to have exemplified these three things, which in today's westernized world, it's really hard to do, but it's super simple. Love and protect your land. Love and protect your family. Love and protect your community. Can we honestly say we can do all three? In today's world, we might be able to do one or two, but to do all three, it's going to be very hard. But it's that simple. When we load this canoe with its navigators and its captains that have these values and exemplified these values in their lifetime, this canoe will be ready to set sail. But this canoe is not leaving the shore. We have to recalibrate the compass. This compass that we've been using has been off calibration for the last 150 years. So we're going to use the Hawaiian Star Compass. There's 4 points, 4 cardinal points to this star compass. In the Hawaiian Star Compass, we have Akau, Hema, Hikina, and Komohana, north, south, east, west. This compass that I'm talking about right now is one cardinal point is government. The other cardinal point is economic development, tourism. For Hawaii, it's a main source of income. The other is the private sector. And the last cardinal point is community. In between each of those cardinal points is 7 houses. The 7 houses that make up these gaps in between each cardinal point. There's 32 houses that make up the 360 degrees of this compass. The Hawaiian Star Compass does not have a magnetic north. It's the canoe. The canoe is the center of the compass. But those cardinal points and those houses has a responsibility to hold those cardinal points in line. For the last 150 years, we have been sailing in one storm, in the same direction, which is economic development and government. It is sad to say, Lahaina is naked. Everything's gone. We have one chance to get this right. Not just for Lahaina. We have one chance to get this right for all of Hawaii and maybe all of the world. Everybody's doing their part, but we have one chance. These cardinal points, these 7 houses, for Hawaii, it's the big stakeholders, DHHL, Hawaiian Homes, Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, the dock workers, the unions, the CEOs, the big industrial people. These are the ones that make up the houses. And everybody's holding one hand out like this and one hand behind the back, getting favors. That's why we've been down this path of destruction for the last 150 years. We need everybody to hold each other's hand so that we cannot hide and be open and honest and communicate so that we can hold those cardinal points firm, strong, so that this canoe can set a course with the values of the risk of your baby and your grandmother. Once those 32 points of this star compass is solid, this canoe will be ready to sail. But we have to wait for the right wind, the wind of change. We no longer can look at the industry that drives Hawaii, the tourist industry. They can no longer be tours of Mai Tais and sunsets. These tours needs to be a tour of education, talking about our aupuas, talking about Hawaiian history, talking about the different winds that affect our different shores, talking about the history and the legends of this place. Why is it important that the streams flow from the mountain to the sea? It is when we share these kinds of stories with the people that visit our land, they have a love and respect for our community and our place. We have failed. We have failed to do this for the last 150 years. That is why we were at. Mauna Kea opened the door. Lahaina is bearing the burden of the lost, but all of Hawaii is suffering. We need to fix this canoe. We need to set a course not of new land, a course of the land that we know and love. You don't know who you are until you know where you come from. We know where we come from. We know who we are. We have one chance, people. We have one chance to get this right. If we don't get this right, we're sailing right back into that 150-year storm. As navigators, as voyagers, we understand storm. We know how to sail through a storm. What we forgot is how to sail around a storm. This is going to be hard, but it is going to be the easiest opportunity we have to create change. The meeting that we had with the Water Commission, the emotion and the drive that our people of Lahaina had to fight for something they know is the success of generations to come. If we fail at this, we don't fail for ourselves. We fail for the next 5 generations and beyond. More importantly, we fail the earth. The earth is suffering the most. When COVID happened, nobody could come to Hawaii. What we saw, the earth had an opportunity to rest. It was amazing. Like I said, when you live on an island, you see and feel change. The change that we saw and the transformations that we saw during COVID was unbelievable. This situation that we're in, this grieving that our community is suffering, we have to think long and hard about how we want to rebuild. Some people, a lot of people, will not like what we have to say. What is important is we rebuild not for financial gain. We rebuild for the future of our home. We rebuild for the future of our place. We rebuild for the future of our children that is not here yet. The generations that are ahead of us, we need to leave them with something better. But if we're not willing to fight, if we're not willing to commit, if we're not willing to give, then there's nothing for them to receive. I cannot tell you how important this is. I cannot tell you the kinds of things that have been happening to me spiritually. I do not wish this responsibility that has bestowed upon me to anyone, because the kuleana, the responsibility is so great. It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that has to happen. But I cannot do this by myself. We need every one of you to help us change not only this place, but change this world. When my daughters were a month old, I would put them to bed and I would look into their eyes, close as I laid them down on the bed, and I would say, are they going to be okay? I honestly had this conversation every night. I put them to bed until they were about 12 years old. Are they going to be okay? I don't know if I was asking God that question. I don't know if I was asking myself that question. But I would always ask that question every night I put them to bed. With love, tenderness, and care, I would ask that question. I never thought in my lifetime I would see what I saw. I never thought in my lifetime we would be in this situation. It did cross my mind, but the reality of it, it's here. It's happening. To a point where we are completely complacent. Because of westernization and industrialization and the comforts, we have been blindsided. It's upon us. It's happening. We have to create a movement. We have to create a movement of change. I believe 100% we can. I'm done asking myself how. There's only one way, is to get people to believe in the idea to create change, to believe in the idea that we put our place first. When we prove that we can take care of our place will take care of us. When you live on a canoe, when you sail on a canoe and you voyage, quickly these things become very apparent. I wish we could take everybody on a 2-week voyage, because you cannot hide. Everything comes out. Everything becomes crystal clear, because you don't have anything around you but nature. It is only then you begin to see and think clearly about change and what needs to happen. I know I'm going to give it my best shot. I know all of you have been working on this for a very long time. But more than ever, from our oceans heating up, our sea levels rising, our Earth's temperatures rising, it's happening. But we're too complacent. We're too comfortable. We're too comfortable as human beings to recognize what's really happening. It's here, folks. It's happening. It's changing. 4 months ago, I heard Florida, ocean temperatures, 100 degrees. It's here. It's happening. I never thought in my lifetime I would hear that happen. Wake up, people. Don't be complacent. Be alert, be aware, create change. Help make this happen. I know I'm going to try. Thank you.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much, Archie. And what you're saying is actually exactly what's happening here at the UN in the
Awesome.
General Assembly. The words that you said were also at a side event that I attended yesterday. It was the regenerative travel, and
Right
it was
on.
all models of Indigenous people guiding tourism, transforming it, because what it is now is it's exploitative, it's extractive, it's taking everything, the soul, but what they were saying is we control and we share what matters most, and by doing that, then the people understand what they've lost with that connection with the planet. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is exactly what was summarized at the Regenerative Travel Conference. There was a summit that was held over in Brooklyn, and I went over to that because I wanted to see how people responded in the past and what
Yeah.
is at the forefront and how they're doing that. And it was exciting because it's so opposite of what we've experienced.
Yeah.
Where you summed it up so well, from Mai Tais and sunsets, that's not at all understanding. In
Yeah.
fact, it's even just intoxicating to people to not come in. And one place which I was like thinking this was what I wanted to do at the airport anyway before all of this,
Yeah.
was they actually have it is along the lines of an intentional ceremony, like why are you coming here and what are
Yep.
you doing?
Yep.
And then a kuleana closing one. They didn't call it kuleana, of course, but it was a closing one of what will you do now that you know. And
Yep.
what they've done then is people provide funds and support them because they actually know the people. And so they're like, we came, we experienced this, we live now differently.
Yes.
What can we do to show you our appreciation for sharing what you shared with us, that aloha aina? And
Exactly.
then it's all these global goals. So it doesn't even have to use the 17 global goals, which is why the world's gathering, because they're at halftime. But number 17 is partnership. It's not some funding from somewhere else or some grant from philanthropy. It's people who said, I want to give back and I want to share. And so it was exciting to see at that regenerative. So what you're sharing, there's so many pieces that we can pull.
Yeah.
The other side that stands out, that is the Secretary General, and he said exactly what you said, maybe not quite as eloquently, but he was pretty amazing because he said, we're at the gates of hell
Yep.
and the fires are all around us. And he said, we have got to understand that the people know what's wrong, but we got to make sure everyone comes together to
Yep.
change the course of that canoe. Because right now,
100%.
it is, as you said, really not understood, and people are sleepwalking through
Yep.
this one. And
Yep.
for one thing, I'll close with was I was at the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty, and they asked me to speak there because Vanuatu and Tuvalu are organizing a treaty to make sure all fossil fuels aren't subsidized anymore, to make sure it's taken out of the system.
Mhm.
And it's all these what you're talking about. It's the symptoms of the system that have then really poisoned Mother Earth, poisoned our land, and of course, even fogged our minds to not be able to see. So what you're
Yep.
saying is exactly true. The way I summarize it, because I had to tell them things, was it's exactly what you said. It's we have to first decolonize.
Yeah.
If we decolonize, then you wouldn't have had all those situations. The ahupua'a would have been running, the waters would have been there, it
Yep.
wouldn't have been that dry.
Yep.
I see Kaea's on there and he loves endemic ecology. If we were taking care of our aina, all that invasive grass from other places that's drier, that tinderbox wouldn't have been there as well.
Yep. Yep.
After decolonizing, we got to, in a way, decorporatize.
Yep.
Because if
100%.
those corporations were there caring, they would have never blocked the water and diverted it for the Gulf, which is the other tourism that's not anything for us.
Yep.
I,
Yep.
I remember growing up Waianae, no can eat golf balls, bro. You know, that development. And so seeing that aspect of decorporatizing, you wouldn't have had all the water diverted, you would not have had those conditions. You would have had an electric company that would have said, "Oh, those poles are teetering.
Yeah.
Maybe it gotta," but everybody's thinking profit and not thinking people.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
so that, and then we got to, in a way, after we decolonized, decorporatized, we just got to look at what is next. We got to decentralize what
Yeah.
exists.
Yep.
And we were looking, and we can put solar on everyone's roof. We don't have
Yep.
to wait for oil to come from somewhere else.
Yep.
And at the point of contact, as you were saying, it's been 150 years. At the point of contact, million plus, healthy, living, sharing, caring, doing those 3 points of Aina, Ohana, and taking care of the whole nation that way. So
Yep.
everything you're saying is absolutely on point. And if there's anything else you want to add, the one thing the SDGs look at, and what you talked about, it's no poverty is number one.
Yeah.
Number two is zero hunger.
Yep.
Number three, good health, well-being.
Yep.
Based on what you're sharing, we'd have all three of those just by going on that route.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yep.
quality education, and that's it. It's sharing that knowledge of Mana'o, so everyone would have purpose and meaning, as opposed to somehow fit into
Yep.
global world order of a tourism center, which isn't who we are or what we are.
Yep. Yep.
5 is gender justice. 6 was almost everything you talked about. Clean water. That's essential. People turn the the spigot, and no one knows where it comes from.
Yeah.
And so we got to get back to that awareness, because then people would take more action with the water keepers. And you
Yep.
see that around with Standing Rock and everywhere else, because
Yep.
the water is life in every way. 7 is
Yep.
renewable energy. And that's entirely what we know. We have the sun.
Yeah.
Looking at Scotland, I was talking to one of the mayors of Scotland, and I asked some questions about their wave technology. I was like, how far has that come along? Where is it at? So one of the best parts about being at the UN is you're meeting all these mayors who are all looking at similar situations.
Wow.
And that was a big part of this week. I mean, I just was learning so much. I was meeting the mayor staff from New York. So they're talking about what happened with Hurricane Sandy.
Mm.
They're describing, this is how we did our housing afterwards. This is how we did the rebuilding. This is how we deal with FEMA and Red Cross. This is what we learned from that. This is what you guys don't want to make these mistakes, because we didn't know until it was too late.
Yeah.
And the other side, that was fascinating. But just yesterday, you inspired me to remember I was meeting with Tonga.
Mm.
And what happened in Lahaina is absolutely horrific, as you share, and we all experienced. But Tonga, that volcano exploding, it knocked
Yeah.
out the only cable, which is Wi-Fi, electricity, everything. And then all the ash over the entire island with
Yeah.
food
Yep.
and all that. So learning from our neighbors, Vanuatu with the 2 number 5 cyclones in 1 week.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, see how they rebuilt, see what they came out from, and then understand from under the US model those aspects of federal systems, because we got to know it.
Yeah.
But look at the global partners, our brothers and sisters in Oceania, and see
Mhm.
how they did it and learn from them, because we have much more in common.
Yeah.
With Moana Nui Akea and that
Yep.
movement.
Yep.
And so you know that from sailing and going everywhere. I also want to say one last thing, and hopefully you can add some more, because it's definitely inspiring. And we have people from Latin America, Africa, all on this call.
Right.
And we definitely will aim, while this is the Sustainable Development Goals Summit in the UN General Assembly with all the heads of state.
Mhm.
We just saw Palau. I saw Palau's Minister
Yeah.
of State this morning. Everyone wants to know, and everybody wants to partner. So this is our chance to make sure we talk together. And
Yep.
your message is definitely in line with the world leaders here. And then it's that important part of acting together.
Well,
And go ahead.
I want to say those are the houses of the compass. What you just said, all of these people from around the world, they are the houses of this compass that can hold the cardinal points accountable. That's how this works. If that makes sense.
100%. I remember being up there with you above Honolua, and you guys were putting the first 4 pohaku.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that Star Compass, you were talking for future generations and to be a school.
Yeah.
But that school is going to be used much sooner than all of us planned.
Yeah. Yep.
I know we have guests. We
Yes.
have
Love to hear
Bob
from
in our case, and I didn't know if anyone had a question. Bob, is there anything that you'd like to add? It's great
Well,
to see.
yeah, it's. I think that you've got the right viewpoint. I mean, I came from the hotel industry before I retired, and I always told legends and stories to the guests as well as to the Grand Wailea. I talked about the first voyage from
Wow.
Kahiki to Hawaii,
Kaikinui.
and had them imagine their being on that canoe. And you remember the picture that Herb Kane had made of the first time that you saw the Big Island.
Yep.
One mountain's covered in snow, the other's in rivers of fire.
Yep.
How can you not? I still get chicken skin thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just imagining just how special this place is.
Yeah.
Mauna Loa is the largest single mountain on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, and it affects the Earth's magnetic field because there's so much iron in that mountain. It has a global influence. And living on that West Coast, knowing that there's billions of gallons of fresh water pouring into that ocean, but there's thriving reefs, there's thriving systems, a rich ecosystem, you know, and knowing all of that, but also realizing you see Kauai put up solar farms and Tesla batteries. So when a hurricane hits them, not if, but when, they have backup power. They've learned that lesson. The Big Island, the sugarcane lands that used to be grasslands, but the Lewis family planted eucalyptus. Now it's a renewable resource. They harvest the eucalyptus. It provides a watershed. It also provides all of that timber that they sell to Japan for paperbark. So that they've got constantly growing forests, providing a recharge to the system. Maui should look at the same thing. Yes. I called it the Lehua Project, just like a lehua tree growing out of a lava field. The forests need to come back before anything else. And the State Department of Agriculture provides that opportunity. I remember in Waimea, the first Friday of every November, the Ag Station in Waimea held a plant sale. Hundreds of koa seedlings, sandalwood, breadfruit, ohia lehua, all of the, including a bunch of endemic and endangered, because I always bought my Hawaii Island hibiscus from them, which is an endangered species.
Wow.
And you know that the state's agriculture system, all of these guys are doing all of this propagation. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't take you very long at all to reforest a huge part of Haleakala and West Maui to be able to provide that watershed. Not to mention the fact it's an opportunity for the visitors. Yeah. You want to help us plant the forest? They do it in Costa Rica. Let's reforest. Come with us. Help us plant trees. Yeah. Yeah. The kids love that. It's a tourism opportunity there of just saying, help us regrow Maui. Yeah. And bring it back. And all of that. And I know those sugar lands have reservoirs. Those could be used to be able to plant crops in the saddle. Not sugar, not grass. But living here in Ecuador, it's broccoli, it's cauliflower, it's asparagus. And they export to the US, to Hawaii. Hawaii should look at the same thing, not just native, but the hotels should be able to buy. Everybody should be able to buy things that don't need to be imported, that you can be grown locally. And do it with co-ops. Have all of these people that are living on Maui be able to do a part-time job of building a co-op and growing land, becoming farmers. They do it on the Big Island. I'm sure they can do it on Maui as well.
Yep. Yep.
And breadfruit chips. You know, sell it in the hotels. Maui potato chips. All of these things can be corporations, government, and the population all benefit.
Yep.
Because the population gets revenue, the land gets used, the government gets taxes, which can be plugged back into regrowth. And like Joshua said, every home that's being rebuilt in Lahaina should be solar.
Yep.
And promoting electric cars as well.
Yeah. You know, can I share something? I saw I don't know if it was on Netflix, but there was a gentleman from Africa. He owned this black gentleman from Africa, came from rags to riches. He owned a car dealership. He was a CEO of a gas company. He gave it all up. He planted a forest of cloud catchers, the tall eucalyptus trees. I cannot find this guy and his story and what he did. He gave everything. He gave up his position in the gas industry. He gave up his car dealership. He gave it all up. And in the beginning, his kids hated him because what happened was he was heading to a meeting, and it was somewhere where poverty was high. They stole his car, took off his wheels. He came back and his car was just totally trashed. He invited those same guys that stole his car to his house. Eventually, they moved in. They started taking all the kids' toys. They took the toilet off. They did everything. And the kids in the beginning hated him. They asked the mom, "Why do you support dad? Why are you standing by dad's side?" And she said something to the effect, "Well, that's my job, is to support your dad." But he bought some land in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, planted these trees, like eucalyptus trees, that he built a bridge before the water even came. The water came, the bridge worked perfectly. The place is one of the richest places today in the world, creates water. He has today, he adopts like 200 kids a year. They all walk away with college degrees. Today, that place, I don't know if you guys heard about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys heard of him?
Yep, that was years ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that documentary again, because what he did and how he did it was like completely flipped everything. And we need to start thinking like that for not only for Lahaina, but in between Haleakala and West Maui Mountains. We need to create cloud catchers, because the wind's too strong. It's a dust cloud, and they may not be native trees, but they're going to catch the clouds to bring the rain so that we can grow the native trees. If any of you know this guy, if any of you have seen that documentary, I would love to try and get a hold of it again, because to me, that was the greatest story of what we can do. That guy truly lived, did it, and he did it like 360 degrees. He took care of everybody, everything. And today it's one of the healthiest, vibrant places in Africa. And what he was able to do to feed the rest of Africa, create a rainforest. He created a rainforest. He educated the kids that he adopted, where every day now, I think every year 200 kids from Africa graduate from college. I mean, that's amazing stuff. Really amazing.
I agree. And as you shared that, it just inspires me, because this was just yesterday, the business cards of how many people I met that had so many similar stories. And it was, when you meet them here, that's I'd say the strength of the UN General Assembly Summit. Everyone's in New York, but everyone's telling and sharing the story if you're willing to listen. Yeah. And I definitely guarantee I can find that person, and I can find the civil society, the NGOs who partner with him. And we can aim for, we were talking with Nalehu to do one for Indigenous Peoples Day in October, and do another global one. Also one around Children's Rights Day in November. Awesome. And then the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change will have their conferences And we could have a side event this same way and bring together Indigenous leaders from Africa, from Asia, and from Oceania, talking about what's being done and how it's being done. Because I think that's it. We have the answers. It's just being able to connect enough. And like you said, you can't imagine, but then when you see it, then you're like, why has it always not been this way?
Yeah.
And we can coordinate together.
That'd be awesome.
And the thing that you can do with these is talk to businesses, these businesses, the CEOs that you mentioned.
Yep.
You can easily convince them when you talk to their bottom line of saying, this will make you money.
Yeah.
You know, A and B has all this land, and it is making nothing from it.
Yep. Yep.
So if you have all of this population on Maui getting together and growing things on the lands, and talk to A and B about, I know we have land disputes ongoing right now about we don't want it to be returned. While this is going on the side, lease the land.
Yep.
And develop cooperatives. I know up here in the Andes, there's one guy with one tractor that plows everybody's field.
Wow.
And all of these pasture lands that are surrounding me here, everybody shares the same stream. One guy blocks it to feed his pasture, and then it goes to another one. And everybody shares. Yeah. Because it's all about community.
That's how it was done here one time.
Exactly. It's still done up here.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, no, we thought it was a great opportunity here at the halfway point of those sustainable development goals, which you say also make up the Hale that we know in the Star Compass. And it's just a great chance to be able to converse, to connect. And I think, as we go forward, I want to respect your time, Archie, because I know how much you're doing out there. And it's always was great to visit you every day after the fires, bringing stuff. We had a couple of tourists that we made the guards overnight. I know you got them all together, explained to them. Yeah. And it was a much more genuine partnership of how it could be, but it's planting the seeds for the future. Yeah. And we were looking also at Maui million native trees as well, even before any of this. So it all fits in, and it would be the only way you'd want, and looking into your daughter's eyes, that's what you want in the future. That was always the answers. We just
didn't know how.
Have the moments, right? And then we saw a glimpse of it after COVID.
Yeah.
And now it is one more time to be able to really reset and then go forward in a new way.
That's my greatest fear. My greatest fear right now is as we reopen, and I told this to the mayor the other day, is the governor talked about we're going to open this, and I said, well, I'm worried, I'm afraid, because it's so easy to go back to what was. That we gotta really think about how we're going to move forward, because it's so easy to go back to what once was. That's dangerous. That's the danger. That's what we're trying to sail away from, that storm. And so that really worries me. I'm gonna ask you guys, we're doing a march January 20th. It is our hope that this march will become the catalyst to the process of changing the direction of this canoe. January 20th, we're hoping to have 40,000, 60,000 people march hand in hand with us for change. If we only change Lahaina, it will implode in 4 years. We have to create change for Lahaina first, but all of Hawaii. All of Hawaii can help create change for the world.
Lahaina is the perfect place for the model.
Yep.
Because you're starting from scratch.
Yep,
It's
exactly.
sad, it's tragic, but it is a golden opportunity for the rest of Hawaii and the world to see what can be done. And the federal money's there. You know, they'll be happy to spend billions on that.
That's why I said we have one chance.
Yeah.
We have one chance to get this right. And if we fail at that one chance, we're failing for the next 150 years and beyond. But people have a hard time accepting change. People are going to have a hard time making the sacrifices, giving up what once was, moving forward to what needs to be. It no longer is what can be, it is what needs to be. We've lost that opportunity of what can be. It now, time is running out. It's about what we need to do.
Mhm.
Very true. We need to, in a way, counter the cynicism, harness the hope, and
Yep.
then optimize.
Yep.
Really organize to optimize what
Yep.
matters most to all of us.
That's why
I remember
you guys to be here for that march, January 20th. Hokulea is coming home. Hokulea is coming home for this march because they understand how important this is. I'm asking the United Nations to send representation from the United Nations to show that this is not only, it's a global issue. When we think about long term, in most people's mind, because of the way we've lived our lifestyle, long term is me getting back to my house. The truth of the matter is, long term is, what are we doing to protect our globe? What are we doing to protect our water? What are we doing to protect our land? What are we doing to protect our islands? What are we doing to protect our nations? What are we doing to protect our oceans? What are we doing to protect our children? What are we doing? These are all parts of that compass. I'm asking you to walk hand in hand with us in this march, to show the world we have to change, and we can change.
It's a great call to action. I'm glad we're able to announce it here at the high level opening week of the UN General Assembly 78 session. And we will definitely share that and continue to build support in October, November, and December. I see multiple places. It's the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, December 10th.
Wow.
And there's a poster right behind me that says clean water is a human right, right over there. And that's most fundamental. We can then raise it as well at the climate summit that will be taking place. And there'd be many Indigenous that will also march with in solidarity.
Awesome.
And we saw, like you said, Mauna Kea was really the beginning, and everyone came to join in. And so I think everyone also wants to be a part. And the sail plan that you're presenting is one that people can definitely, they're ready to get on that va'a with you and to go forward. So I appreciate everything. I know it's been an hour, but I appreciate you spending that time with us. And we'll plan at least monthly these kind of conversations with a global audience to then go forward together.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate meeting you and you guys listening. I'm sorry that not everybody had a chance to speak, because I would love to hear from everybody as well that's on this.
We will coordinate and make the next one have maybe a couple speakers, and make sure we have the 20 minutes for question answer, but also build and share the details every month of the latest regarding January 20th.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Mahalo, thank you so much. Nalehu, great to see you earlier today, and look forward to being home. I'll see Hokulea on Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
I talked with Nainoa and all the volunteers who were from the Bay Area who came out with the federal. We're gonna all meet on Hokulea on Sunday.
Okay, awesome. Well, give Nainoa my love, and I want to say aloha and mahalo nui loa to everyone. Thank you guys so much. Aloha.
Yeah, give him my best, my old classmate.
Well, all right. Aloha. Ahuyo.
Aloha.
Wow.
Buenas tardes.